positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness which creates and animates all things. After years of exploring this awe-inspiring truth on this podcast, I'm super excited to announce that we are now going even deeper down the rabbit hole on the new late-night style consciousness-elevating talk show called Optimistic, which features none other than you, the listeners. Optimistic is taped out of the epic, spaceship-esque 8-bedroom property we call the Mystic Manor that myself and the rest of the Optimistic crew now navigate reality from in Venice Beach, California. And you are invited to come experience a Mystic Manor immersion week with us. During your week-long stay, you'll enjoy unique workshops, chef-prepared meals, one-on-one time coaching and consulting with me, and even co-creating magic with me as a guest on both Optimistic and an episode of the Positive Head podcast. When I started this, my aim with these immersive retreats was to facilitate the ultimate spiritual upgrade and tune-up, so to speak, for our guests while providing them with one of the most memorable experiences of their lives. And I'm happy to say that as of this recording, every guest at the end of their trip so far has told me that they have had a profound and transformational experience at the Mystic Manor and that they definitely want to come back. All that being said, we only have a limited number of spots available between now and next July. And as of this recording, about half of those spots are already filled. So if there's any part of you that is screaming, yes, I want to come, I feel like I need to be there, go now and book a slot with me to discuss how we can put our heads together and make it happen at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. I know for some people there is also that little voice in their head saying, why not? I can't get off work. I can't afford it, and on and on and on. But, really Henry Ford, I think, said it best. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And I'm confident that where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm personally committed to doing everything in my power, including discounts and payment plans, to get you here if it is something that truly feels like a huge yes for you energetically and like you're meant to be here. Once again, the link to book time to discuss with me is calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. That's spelled calendly.com/talkwithbrandon. All one word, of course. And book in some time and look forward to seeing you soon here at the Mystic Manor. All right, all you positive heads. Welcome. Here we grow again. It is a magical Monday in the studio, and I am blessed to say I am not alone. I have my brother from another alien, Vajra, here with me. And in your case, I say that all the time, Vajra, but in your case, that's really true. I mean, our whole friendship came through a UFO sighting in a way,
it's
right?
Actually true. Well, yeah, totally. I didn't even put that together.
Yeah.
It's super funny.
So looking back, guys, actually, if you want to hear that story, it looks like episode 726. It's titled "Another Twist in the Demiurge Story," and it's I think that the episodes before that, probably 725, 724, I talked about the Demiurge as well. So right in there, it was like this unfolding story. Hopefully, I don't recall, Vajra, but hopefully in that 726, I told the whole thing again. But that's the thing about going and looking back into the past. Like, what did I do again? I don't know. But 726 hopefully has it all. If not, there may be some other episodes that piece it together. But it's a pretty epic story, which led to us being great friends and you sort of facilitating all the art here at the Mystic Manor, of course, and helping
to wife there.
Meeting your wife.
We
talked about that on your episode with Amanda Sage, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, it's a great example of once we get into a state of like trust and opening our heart, then all the goodness that comes from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
it's like you get everything you ever wanted as long as you're doing what you're supposed to.
Yes.
And part of that is just surrendering and being like, yes, all right, how do we do this together? And
Exactly. So what we decided, as we get close here to the new year 2020, Vajra and I were having a conversation about, well, first off, we have some really cool art-related things that are going to be happening here at the Mystic Manor in 2020 that I want to share with you guys. But we also were talking a bit about, before we get into that, we were talking a little bit about the idea of, art and how it is such a key part of our awakening, and how I think personally, as we continue to evolve as a society, it's going to become really paramount for us to find some sort of a creative outlet. I mean, I always say, we are the creator, right? We're one with the source that creates and animates all things, right? You hear me say that all the time. Keyword in there being creates. So when are we most in alignment with our true self, our highest self, when we're in a creative state? And I think a lot of people out there have cut that part of themselves off or told the story about, I'm not creative, I'm not artistic. And I believe that's just a complete fallacy, that everyone has that part of themselves. It may be lying dormant, but it's in there by virtue of who and what we actually are, the creator. Would you agree with that, Vajra?
I would. We're all kind of mini creators when we're stepping behind the easel. I'm of the belief that when you create a painting, you actually have the chance to create a real world that exists beyond the physical. And here we're creating a physical vessel for it to interact and, affect the whole creation.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Demiurge too is a perfect example of like the first artist. It's like the Demiurge awoke in a sea of chaos, just matter in all sorts of crazy angles, and through harmony and ratio, modeling it after his idea of what he wanted to create. He's like, okay, heaven exists. Let's make heaven out of matter. And I feel like Earth was probably the first work of art.
Wow.
And
beautiful.
So we're all little demiurges, little master creators.
And that is, the Demiurge is actually the painting that we talk about in episode 726 that brought you and I together. So once again, you guys can go learn about that. The Demiurge supposedly being like the creator being that emerged from the void, according to Platonic philosophy, right?
Yeah, that's one of Plato's stories. It was either Critias or Timaeus, the one that doesn't talk about Atlantis.
Right. Yeah, and basically the creator being that emerged from the void to bring order to chaos and sort of, make the world work in a way that actually functions.
So that the divine could know itself in physical form.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I think that's what we're all doing. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation with you. And I thought it's so appropriate as we move into 2020, which is all about clear sight, clear vision. I mean, there's symbols everywhere. And I think it's a really good symbolically to see that, as we're moving into a year that's called 2020, it's all about perfect vision, right? And I believe a key element of that perfect vision is tapping into your creative self and, finding a way to have an outlet, whether it's, painting is one thing, or doodling is another, or making music, or, coming up with, just doing anything, creative videos, anything fun. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You don't have to be, those of you who don't know, Vajra is one of the most prolific, incredible visionary artists on the planet. We don't all have to ascend to your level of, professional artiste, but I just want to encourage people to really, as you go into 2020, I think it's a wonderful thing to consider, what can I do different this year that's not only going to help open up these other aspects of myself, but create new neural networks in the brain. And, we know if you start learning a new language or a new instrument or anything, it creates all these new neural connections in the brain, which is the way to expand your intelligence and create, literally more physical health as well.
More possibilities. The more different parts of your brain that you get in communication, you start putting things together and realizing all sorts of new ways forward that you might not have even thought of before.
Right, exactly. It's almost like, what I think of and comes up for me is almost like what plant medicines or psychedelics can do for people. A lot of people who have an experience of taking some, magic mushrooms or something for the first time, it opens them up in a way to new possibilities that sort of is a permanent change. And I feel like art has that same type of effect.
Mm-hmm, definitely. It has for me.
Yeah. So, as we sort of this art inspired episode, what is your, for that person out there, Eric, Eric, by the way, is his real name. So Vajra
That's
being the
my
artist name. Yeah. So I usually switch between the two, depending. So if you hear me say Eric, so what is your advice for someone who feels this, who likes what we're talking about, it makes a lot of logical sense to them why it's important to open up that creative side of themselves. How it can be daunting. I mean, if I look at, for example, the Demiurge painting is a great example. I mean, it's so elaborate and beautiful, and it's almost intimidating to think, okay, where do I begin to make art? Certainly, art on that profound would be a far reach for most. But just small steps. I mean, what kind of inspiration do you have to offer to get people up off the, to put down the remote and do something a little more creative?
So I would really say, like what you mentioned with the Demiurge, it's almost intimidating to think of how you could create that. Like, I just want you all to know, I feel the same way. Like, before I start a painting, usually I'll just stare at the blank canvas after I've got the drawing down and just be like, okay, well, where do I even start? How do I even start this? I want to make sure I start it right. And I go through this self-doubt cycle. But the most important thing is to just commit to doing it. Don't worry about whatever little voice is running in your head that says, you're going to mess up, you can't do this, you're not supposed to, whatever. Just do whatever it is that you feel called to do in your heart. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. As long as you do that, it's going to look like what it's supposed to for you.
Yeah.
And I get contacted by so many people saying oh, I love what you do, I'd love to do it, but I just never could. And it's well, if you'd love to do it, what makes you think you never could?
Right.
It's I tell people, just get a sketchbook. Just start drawing. Doesn't matter if it looks good. Doesn't matter if it's realistic. Doesn't matter if it's just pure abstraction. Just start doing something and you'll probably find that you enjoy it. And it doesn't have to be for the world. It can be just for you.
Yeah.
You might find that you've got this latent gift just kind of waiting to be developed. My friend Ken, I taught a workshop at Rootwire over on the East Coast back in 2014. Mm-hmm. It's my first workshop I ever taught. And a lot of the people there weren't actually artists. At least they didn't think. And so a couple years later, one of the people from the workshop comes up to me, shows me this beautiful painting of this owl and all these symbols of time and mortality all moving together. I'm like, this is amazing. Who did this? And he's like, I did. I'm like, no way. And he's like, the thing is, I never even considered painting before I took your workshop.
Wow.
And afterwards, you just made it seem so approachable. It's just do it, just start. Here's the steps. You gave me some pretty cool tools to follow, and now I'm doing it. And, it's possible for anybody that wants to. You might not be making a masterpiece every day, but you'll be doing something that's very rewarding for you. And
wow.
Yeah, I find that art on a personal kind of level helps you, especially if you're not trying to tell a story. If I'm trying to tell a story, if there's a narrative going on, that's something I want to contribute. But lately I've been experimenting with pareidolia, which is kind of seeing things in chaos. If you look at a smudge on a paper and you see a human face, that's pareidolia. And so I find that that's an extremely expressive way to paint that I got into actually after the Thomas Fire. So my home and studio burned down in the Thomas Fire. I mentioned that on the episode with Amanda. And one thing that I started to do afterwards that I didn't even realize I was doing it until a few paintings into the series was just taking random leftover paints from other projects and just smearing them around on leftover canvases, leftover wood. And all of a sudden, an image would just leap out. And there were images, stories that I guess were somewhere in my subconscious wanting to be told, but I didn't even know to tell them. Wow. And so just by committing to the act of just doing something without any attachment to how it was going to look, without any idea of what I was even doing, but just doing it, these stories came out that really helped me, I feel, purge some things after the fire. The first three in the series were these cataclysmic pieces of the end of the last civilization, the recycling of the Torrid meteor stream. After I kind of got that out, I stuck with the pareidolia approach of just smearing things around and seeing what happens. And then more and more serene images came out of just these people in connection with the universe, these people flowing through consciousness, or this person entering this vista just surrounded by all these benevolent spirits and
wow.
Just there for you. And that's just something so magical. Like I didn't intend for any of these pieces to come out the way they did. I had no idea what I was even doing while I was doing it. But it's such a good way for you to express these things that are so deep in you. And it doesn't matter what it looks like because you're expressing it. Like I can't tell you how good I felt after I made these paintings.
Wow.
And like it's such a good place to put your thoughts and your feelings that you might not even be aware of onto a physical surface that then reflects those back at you. In that reflection, there's all this integration. And like you were saying, the reinforcing of neural nets. It's like through these processes, I was tying things together in my mind that I didn't even know I was tying.
Yeah.
But, it's a really beautiful, powerful tool for yourself, if nobody else.
Yeah.
And so I'd recommend anybody that has even the slightest inclination that they want to paint or that they want to draw, but they have these ideas of like, no, well, it's got to look like this if I do it, or I can't do it because, to just put all those thoughts away, pick up a pencil. Don't even bother with a sketchbook if you don't want to, but just draw on some paper, see what happens. Like put your feelings down. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it looks like because it's going to do a lot for you, I promise.
Yeah. I love that idea of just like creating like sort of chaos and then finding, picking something out of it. I mean, what a way to open that creative part of yourself. That you can't, like you said, there's no wrong answer because no matter what you do is going to be right. And, what I think about with this too, not only is it like a way to just start activating other parts of our brain, which then, opens, the way things are linked together are so profound and they're such like, you have no idea by starting to just take a few minutes each day to tap into your creative side, what sort of the ripple of impact that has in other areas of your life. And, I think back to hearing one of the futurists, I don't know, it might have been Ray Kurzweil, I can't quite remember, someone a long time ago, and they were talking about how the future is going to be, we're going to be having all these robots sort of automate everything because, because we can. And then what does it do? It frees up humanity to really focus on what we're primarily here to do. And that is to be creative beings. And I just love that idea. And it's like, I don't want to wait for the robots to take over everything to do it myself. And, I find, like I said, whether it's painting or, my brother started making music again for the first time. And I think of that as an example and how profound that was for him to just have that outlet. It's like, and I think there's probably people out there listening who've never done any of these things and don't even know what they're missing. Right.
And don't even know that they can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like before I started painting, I always drew, but I didn't know that I could paint. And then one day I was just like, I'm gonna do it. So I bought a couple books on acrylic painting for dummies. I sat down and I made Pandora's Box, which is to this day one of my favorite paintings. Like I didn't even know I could do it, but I just decided I was going to, and I did. And I've become a professional artist since, and it's just an amazing thing that I discovered that I hope some of you out there will discover in yourselves as well.
Wow. Yeah. Like Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so many people just get so caught up on judging it and comparison, and it's like not about that at all. Well, cool. Let's talk a little bit. So one of the things, guys, that we're doing in 2020 that I'm super excited about, as we've, as those of you who know, or maybe some of you are hearing this show for the first time today, we've been doing, transformational retreats here at a property in Venice, California, at the Mystic Manor ever since last July. Each week, or most weeks since July, there's been, between 3 and 6 people who come and spend a week here at the Mystic Manor, and we're going through all kinds of, there's vegan prepared meals, and there's transformational workshops and healing modalities, and all these things throughout the week. Actually being guest on the podcast and the new late night style show Optimistic that we've been filming, all parts of the experience that we've been having up to now. And it has absolutely exceeded my expectations. One of the things that we decided to do in 2020 is, we have some off weeks, some weeks where we're not planning to do the transformational retreats that we've been doing. And so Vajra, you and I got together and I said, what if, and you had the idea, what about an art academy, and where people actually can learn from some of the best visionary artists in the world and come and spend a week at the Mystic Manor, but instead of doing, all the transformational work, which is great, but there may be obviously there's people out there who would love to become, prolific artists and get taught by some of the best people in the world. And since, you run in those circles, which, by the way, if you go back to episode 1004, Vajra was on with Amanda Sage, who's, speaking of, one of the most amazing visionary artists. Amanda is incredible.
We'll be teaching at Mystic Manor as part of the Art Academy.
Yes. So do you want to tell them a little bit more about how that's going to look in 2020?
Yeah, let's hop into it. So we started a visionary art gallery, actually, in Mystic Manor. There's the artwork of over 15 artists from around the world displayed there. Some of the people that have been inspiring me from before I even knew I was going to even draw, like, for fun. And it's just such an incredible experience for these people to come to the house and see the art. And I'm just like, okay,
everyone's jaw drops
making it. Yeah. And so I've been in contact with all these different world-renowned artists for the last decade, just introducing myself to all the heroes, like my heroes along the way. Oh my God, your art's amazing. How are you? And so we've become friends over the years. And so I've invited many of these people. We've got 6 courses lined up from January through May, where they're going to be 6-day courses. And people are going to be able to come stay in the house and learn from these artists. And for 6 days, they're going to be just immersed in one particular artist's style, approach, philosophy, technique. There's going to be tons of time just practicing with those people, not just learning from them, but working and getting their personal feedback and mentoring during the working process. And we set up an academy basically so that people could come learn from not just one artist, not just me, not just Jonathan Salter, who's going to be teaching on January 13th, but everybody. We've got Michael Devine now, and we've got a Mexican artist named Jix Mugre coming up. And in May, we've got a special guest that I'm holding off on announcing so far. But yes, we've got 6 classes lined up, 6 days each, 6 hours a day, 6 to 7. There's no real limit there, but lots of practice hours, open studio afterwards, so we can just hang out and paint pretty much as long as we want, as much as we want. And all learn together, grow together, and create art together. So I can't wait for this. I think it's an amazing opportunity. I've wanted to learn from all of these people, and now I get to, and so do you.
Yeah.
And now I get the chance to share my philosophy, my input, my knowledge in a classroom setting, which, I've taught some workshops, but I've never had the chance to sit down for 6 days and really just go in
right.
as much depth as I'll be able to with the students there. So that's
right.
extremely exciting. I can't wait to get that started.
Yes.
We're going to be videotaping the classes too. And not the students, we're not going to get you on video or anything, don't worry, unless you want to be. But it's going to be a video recorded painting demonstrations with the artists that are teaching, as well as all of their lecture and their content. So we're going to be able to package that. So if you can't make it out, you can still be a part of the Academy and the training series. But my hope is that you can make it in person, because there's nothing that can replace sitting down one-on-one with an artist, getting their feedback, and in the classroom setting too, like helping each other out, providing feedback, and just I can't even express just the pure magic of Mystic Manor in general and the crazy stuff that happens there. So I can't wait to see what happens when we pair this with visionary art intensives. It's going to be incredible. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm so excited. When we first started coming up with this idea, I just was like so excited about one of my favorite weeks here so far was when you, and speaking of Jonathan, and
Blake Foster,
and Blake,
Sidewalks.
and Blake, stayed here for a week and worked on this piece on the side of the house, which I'm looking at right now, that's sitting on the wall in front of me. Like literally, I mean, these guys just hanging out for a week, staying in the bell tent, and working on this huge canvas. 3 visionary artists simultaneously, and it was like so cool to have that energy here. So I'm just so excited that now we have 6 weeks over the next 6 months where there's going to be teacher and students, all just, and they're, deep diving into learning this craft. And, it's like you said, Vajra, there's no replacing being in person, like just through osmosis, like you're like absorbing the energy, not only of this place and all of the transformational work that's being done here, but also, then being here, rubbing elbows with all these other budding artists, as well as, professional artists. And it's just, it's going to be a container for true magic. And it's just such a great growth edge for the Mystic Manor, and I just love to continue to expand and step into new possibilities. And so I'm just super grateful for you helping to spearhead it all. And
we're so grateful for the opportunity, not just for us, but for all the students and for everybody, really. Because once we get more people making beautiful art, even if it's just for themselves, the world becomes that much more beautiful of a place.
Yes.
And if you are compelled to share your visions with the world, like I started painting so that I could tell stories that I felt mattered in the big picture. And so this is an opportunity to empower individuals to make even more powerful paintings, more powerful portals into these other worlds, these other ideas and philosophies, so that we can help share our ideas with the world through a nonverbal language that just connects right to the heart. Yes. So, it's not just for you. It's not just for us, it's for everybody and everything, because that's what I feel like creation is. It's this creative magic is beautiful, but co-creative magic is beyond anything I've ever imagined. And Earth is one beautiful shining example of this co-creative magic sphere that we're all part of. And so The more we're all doing our thing, the more everybody is benefiting from that. And so my hope and goal is that through this art academy, we create a much more beautiful and also much better world.
Beautiful. I love that intention. Well, cool. Yeah. And so if you guys want to learn more, you can actually connect with either myself or Vajra, or both if you want. Vajra, you have a Calendly set up.
I do. Calendly.com/Vajra33. I'm happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk.
Yeah. And it's VAJRA 33. And then my Calendly is calendly.com/talk with Brandon. And by the way, that's of course for these Art Academy events, or if you want to come to the standard events we've been doing up to this point, which is the transformational centric retreats where we're doing a lot of workshops and healing modalities and things like that, not necessarily art centered. So now, multiple things that you can do here, and I'm happy to talk to you about either as well. And just reach out and let us know. And you can also learn more about sort of the transformational retreats at optimistic.tv. We've got some videos and things there, but super, super exciting way to kick off the new year. I'm just, it just keeps getting better around here. And, Vajra, is there anything as we sort of wind down that you want to share as far as inspiration? I mean, maybe for those who, aren't going to end up being able to come to a retreat, but, or just, really feeling what we're talking about, how important it is to get in touch with, I think as we become more of a reflection of our higher self, it means viewing life the way our higher self does. So you're taking on the perspectives that your higher self would during a challenging experience or what have you, especially. And so to me, this is just a natural extension of that. Oh, I'm going to be tapping into more of my creative side because that's what my higher self is. It's a creator. We're one with the source that created this entire cosmos. Think of how creative that being is, right? And that's what you are a fractal of. So for those who are, have been really cut off from their creativity or been doubting it, any sort of last things that you, as one of the most incredible visionary artists in the world, that you'd like to share to inspire them?
Yeah, I would say that, even if right now you're saying I'm not a creative individual, that right there in itself is an act of creation. You're creating a world for yourself in which you aren't that.
Yes.
So, realize you wield this magical power of creation. I feel like that really is the most powerful thing that we as human beings can do is create realities. And whether that's a mind frame that keeps you in a loop, whether it's an idea that gets you out of it, whether it's a meal that you made for your friends, whether it's a painting that you made for yourself or a song you made for the world, you are able to create as a human being. And so often we forget that we're actually creating every single moment, even when we're telling ourselves, no, I can't. No, I'm not. That's creation. It's just a matter of what you want to create.
Wow.
So, I really advise that if there's something in your heart that you want to do, don't listen to the voice that tells you not to follow that. Just do it for yourself, because you're then going to create that reality, and things will change, not just for you, but for everybody.
Bam. That is such a powerful, takeaway. So it's Yeah, once again, whether I think I can or think I can, I'm right. The abracadabra, exactly. I create as I speak. So, in each time you utter your words or an idea or transmit a thought or belief, you're spelling, right? You're casting a spell.
Exactly. And that's why my course is called The Art of Magic.
Yes.
Because I feel like through art, you can create magic, and you do magic, and that is magic is creation. Creation is magic, and so. I can't wait to get a whole classroom of magicians together under your roof. Yes. A whole bunch of classes of magicians all working their magic for the greatest good.
You know what? I know we have a fledgling events page with for the Academy of Art that. I tell you what, I'm going to share that in the show notes as well. And Wonderful. It's not fully done yet, but at least it gives you the different dates with the different artists who will be here. So, the first one coming up is the January 13th through 19th, pretty soon, with Jonathan Salter, who's incredible. And then yours is going to be the January 27th through February 2nd, and that's the Art of Magic with Vajra. And then, you'll be able to see all the other future dates as well. There, and like I said, it's a Facebook event group that you'll see the schedule of classes, and I'll share that in the liner notes as well, the show notes. But
what's wonderful about that too is each one of us that's teaching a course, we all have our own unique style. We all do different things. We all create different worlds. Some of us do people. Some of us do buildings. Some of us do landscapes. Some of us do it all. And this is a really great opportunity to kind of get all these different tools in your belt. Because while I'd been limited to what I did for a while, once I started collaborating, with Jonathan, for instance, and working with these other artists, you just pick up these skills so easily, and then it's something that you can do if you want to in your art.
Right.
And it's a really great opportunity. Jonathan Salter is an amazing visionary painter of these crazy temple landscapes.
Yeah, he is.
And his workshop's actually called Temple Visions, and if there's anybody out there wanting to create, fantastic cityscapes or wonderful jungle cities and caves and all sorts of crazy things by the sea, this is it. Jonathan's gonna be your man for that. Yeah, he starts on the 13th. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and that's pretty soon. That's a couple weeks, and it's super reasonable, guys. So as far as cost, we'll break that down. There's a couple options, so just contact us and we'll go over all that with you. But that's one of the things too that we wanted to do is make it as reasonable as possible for your room, your board, your food, all the training. I mean, it's less than what it would cost, depending on what you choose. It's less than just renting a place in Venice would be for a week, much less, And
honestly, all of the artists, myself included, we're going to be pouring our hearts into this. We're here to give you as much as we possibly can. So we'll make sure you get your money's worth. Promise.
Yeah, beautiful.
And then in my class, the Art of Magic, just give you a brief rundown of the things we'll be doing in there.
That starts on the 27th, right?
That is January 27th through February 2nd, and that's with me. We're going to be doing 2 projects together. The first is going to be in that style that we were talking about earlier, the pareidolia style, where we're going to start with just a random smearing chaotic mess. And then over the course of a couple of days, we're going to be working on just working abstract with no attachment for what happens until an image jumps out to us, at which point we help tell that story. So that's really great in terms of going from the big to the small. But then from the small to the big, we're going to be doing another project, which is more along the lines of what I usually do, like how I created the demiurge and nest and men in the middle and the wishes granted, where I'm asking students to come to class with at least an idea of something that they want to create, a story that they want to tell, preferably sketches. If you feel like it, you could even bring a piece in progress that you just want to go further into in class. But it's during that class project that we're going to be really focusing on telling the story that we want to and making a painting how we want it to be. And my goal is to help you make it however you want. So that's kind of the long story short there with what we'll be doing in the Art of Magic, January 27th through February 2nd.
Beautiful, beautiful. This has been awesome. Vajra, I'm super excited for the new year and co-creating art and magic with you, my friend. And with that being said, I think I'll let you be the DJ today. And
right. Well, I think it'd be entirely appropriate to play my favorite song ever, created by my now wife, Magica Ohm, who I met on the pilot episode of Optimistic. I was the painter, and she was the musician. And it was just one of those days where I said yes, and where she said yes, and we ended up there, and magic happened. So I've been listening to her music for 10 years, painting in my studio, sometimes on repeat for long hours, especially this song. It's called Kamakya. She wrote it based on her experiences in India, and I would love for you all to hear it. So let's get that going.
Bam. This is Kamakya by Amagika Om featuring Rama. Take it away. Until next time, journey well. Thank you, Vajra. Love you all so much. And if you're feeling the call to come for a week retreat-style Mystic Manor immersion, remember to go now and book your time to speak with me directly about stepping into the optimistic vortex at calendly.com/talkwithbrandon while there are still spots left. Otherwise, I look forward to co-creating magic with you at the Mystic Manor.